And the award for NDTV Science Icon of the Year goes to Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla.
3, 2, 1.
Warm round of applause
And lift off.
for the rock star.
Who hurled India's soaring aspirations into the vast cosmos, boldly docking at the International Space Station. He is the indomitable trailblazer whose courage and unrelenting quest for discovery embody India's surging scientific ambition and unquenchable thirst for the frontiers beyond. For his monumental contribution to India's triumphant ascent in space exploration, the NDTV Indian of the Year Science Icon Award belongs to Shubhanshu Shukla.
You know, we've had some Bollywood stars in the mix today. I think most people would agree that this is as handsome a hunk as it gets. Can we have a round of applause, please? Come. You know, I'm a Fauji brat, and growing up, the complex that you had was for Air Force officers who looked and spoke like that, right? And a lot of people in the Indian Army have that as well. So congratulations. Where's the award? Please, sir. Award to DJ. Come. Congratulations. Thank you. I want to hand you over to our resident science and tech geek, NDTV Managing Editor, Shivaruri. Sir.
Okay, he's already got a mic, so you can hear me, right? This mic works?
You can use.
Can I use this? Yes, okay. So, this guy here is 5 years younger than me, but I'm still not going to call him Shuks or Shubhanshu. He's Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, because to earn that rank takes a lifetime of service. So, salute to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Incredible privilege to share a frame with you here. I'm going to start it off by asking you, do you miss space?
No, absolutely. I would take any chance to go back.
If you're given an opportunity to go back, like in the next few months, your family will have no problem with it, just go back?
I would probably do what I did the first time. I will not tell them, and I would apply. So they would, of course, have a problem with me going.
Yeah, you know, see, Group Captain Shukla, from the time that you were announced as an astronaut till the time you blasted off, there were lots of delays and hiccups and things like that. During that time, did your family, try to talk you out of it? Were there moments where they were, ye kya ho raha hai?
No, actually not, and I'm so thankful to them. They have been extremely supportive, even though at times, they feel that, tension and anxiousness, but they have never let it come out. But I will tell you one thing, I will share you. When I splashed down and I came back to India and I met my mother for the first time, the first thing that she said to me was, कि बेटा बस अब हो गया, अब मत जाना. So I think that feeling was always there, but they have been extremely supportive, and I have never felt anything from their side but support.
You know, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about your parents and especially your mother, because when we were in the NDTV newsroom on the day of your blast off, there was one person who was monitoring you and the rocket, and there were two people saying, you stay on Shuks' mother and let us know when to cut to her. So we had your mother on one half of the screen. She was an incredible hero of the day that day as well. Obviously, you couldn't know it that day because you were blasting off and you were busier with other things. But we had a fully zoomed in view of your mother and the incredible human emotions that came out that only a mother can feel, and all that anxiety. Did that, was that something that was playing on your mind, how your family must be feeling as you blast off into the unknown?
I think there is a very real understanding of what the mission is and what the risks are, and it is not just upon you to understand that, it is also for the family to understand. And that is why, you don't go to space alone. You go, it takes a lot of people and a lot of support to go. My parents were here, they could not travel to US because of, like you said, there were a lot of delays, so they could not be there. My wife was there watching the launch from the launch pad. So these feelings are of course there. But the beauty is that the support system is so strong that you don't really think about it when you are actually doing the mission, because then you are compromising on what you're doing. So I think it is not only the strength and courage on the part of the person who is going, but also on the part of the family, who is there to support him in doing what needs to be done.
Since you talked about a team, you're a fighter pilot, Group Captain Shukla, so you're all alone in that wonderful cockpit that you're in, right? So this is a bit of an unfair question. Fighter cockpit or spaceship where you're with others?
No, I have a great answer to this question. Space missions take some time, about 3 to 4 years before you launch. So there is 3 to 4 years. So when you have to go to space, you sit in the spacecraft and go. And when you're on ground, you get into the fighter cockpit. Yeah. So get best of the both worlds. So you don't have to choose one.
Yeah, you've been asked very often, and I've seen some of your past interviews, you're constantly asked about what does zero gravity feel like? But I noticed that nobody's asked you what that blast-off moment actually feels like. And I actually did some research on it, and very few people have asked astronauts that. What does it feel like to actually blast off? Because you are no stranger to G-forces. Being a fighter pilot, you go through it all the time, right? What was that like? How do you compare the two? And, the blast-off moment, describe that for us.
Yeah, it was very interesting for me because, like you said, I was no stranger to this feeling, engine lighting up behind you and you getting going to the sky. But the sheer scale or the magnitude of this was totally different. I remember the minute the engines came on, it was like, you getting a question paper in your exam, you forget everything that you know.
Blanked off.
And it just blanked off for some time. It was really powerful and extremely fast for me, because you are going from 0 kilometers per hour to 28,500 kilometers per hour in about 8.5 minutes. And that kind of acceleration I had never seen before, in spite of being very familiar with this. So it was very exciting, and it was very surprising as well for me.
The build-up to the blast-off, Group Captain Shukla, was filled with some nervous moments. We at NDTV are very proud because we were tracking it. I'm sure you know this. We were tracking it more closely, almost like a live commentary until it actually happened. The oxygen leak issue that delayed things, where we are so proud that it was ISRO that stepped in and exercised a great deal of caution. What was that like for you? Because you were dealing with life and death decisions being taken at a very high level to keep the rocket on the ground, launch it a little later. Tell us what your emotions were at that time, because you must have been very keen to get into space at that time.
Oh yes, I was. The quarantine was so long that I did not want to spend any extra day in the quarantine and just get launched to space. But I am from the Indian Air Force, right? We also fly machines, and the seriousness of the business, about life and death is very real to us, even in aviation. And whenever you're going for such missions, everybody involved, not just the person who is sitting on the rocket, but everybody, the entire ground team and the support staff, everybody realizes the seriousness of what we are doing, and so there are no shortcuts, and this is understood very well. And so every day there used to be a briefing for us, what is happening, what is going to happen, what is the possible course of action that is going to be taken. And when everybody is satisfied, that is when we will say, okay, let's go for launch. So I think it is very clear to us, yes, it is, moments of anxiousness, but you understand it well and you deal with it in a very methodical manner to reduce the risk acceptable enough for everybody involved.
We saw that lovely moment that you had with Vicky, Kaushal, where he said that he'd love to play you. I'm sure that's crossed your mind. Like Rahul was saying, you've already got that rock star swag. You're totally killing it in a leather jacket. I'm sure you've thought of being, portrayed in a film at some point.
No, I had not thought about it before today when Vicky said that he wants to play me in a film. But now that he has said it, I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it there, Group Captain Shukla, but just one final thing, because this is something I'm curious about, which is that people say when you go to space, you become a better person. You look at the Earth and you think, we are quite insignificant in our individuality. Did you become more philosophical after this space trip?
I think it is very natural. It will be difficult for me to convey it to everyone, but I think it is very natural because, and I came up with this analogy, like when we are small kids and we start going to school, our sense of identity comes from our home, our parents or our siblings. And when from school you start going to college, your sense of identity comes from your school. I'm from such and such school. You introduce yourself as that. And then as an extension, when you leave your city, go to some other city, your sense of identity comes from your city where you belong from. And again, as an extension, you leave your country and go to some other country for work, like I was in US last year. Your sense of identity comes from your country. You're representing India. And as a very natural extension, and it will be difficult for you to probably imagine that, but when you leave the planet and you go outside the Earth, your sense of identity comes from Earth and not from anything else. So I think it is a very natural extension, and you may call it philosophical or spiritual or whatever, but all of this is termed, under something known as overview effect, which is just a very different perspective or a vantage point that you get to look at Earth from the outside.
Your mother may have said, "Bas ho gaya, Shubhanshu," but all we Earthlings can wish you is your next space flight very soon. A big hand for Group Captain
Thank you. Thank you
Shubhanshu
so much.
Shukla.
Thank you.
A small memento there
Photo,
from
please,
Mr.
thanks.
Manav
Photo.
Gangwani.